Hello everyone, my name is Linda O'Neillafor and welcome back to my channel, Mental Health and Wellness. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about teenagers and mental health and how we can help our teenagers understand mental illness. Okay, so I'm going to just jump right in and I wanted to say parents, if you can please help your children to understand that mental health challenges is a part of life, it's normal, and it's very common. Okay, so the first thing that I think that parents can do to help their teenager to understand mental illness is to have a conversation with them. You know, sit down, have a conversation with them. See if you could get them to open up. Ask them, what do you know about mental illness? And just kind of see what they say. And, I know a lot of times it's hard to talk to teenagers, especially young men, because young men usually don't like to just sit down and express their feelings. But there's different ways that you can maybe try to pull it out of them. So, like sometimes, let's say if you're doing a chore around the house, maybe you can have them help you. And then, you can kind of like ease it in, what you want to talk about. Maybe start out by saying, well, how was your day today? And then, just kind of take it from there. Okay, so that's one way that you can start up a conversation about mental health with your teenager. Another way that you can start up a conversation with your teenager about mental health is you can actually talk about your life when you was a teenager. Maybe you had a lot of challenges when you were a teenager, and maybe your relationship with your mom or dad, wasn't good, or even if it was good, you could still have that conversation with your teenager. Because believe it or not, teenagers, they like to hear stories. They really do. They like to hear stories. Because when you tell them stories about when you were growing up, they kind of sit back and they think, wow, okay, so she went through that, or she experienced that. Don't feel ashamed to talk about what you went through when you were a teenager, and how your parents raised you, and the difference in when you were a teenager back then and the difference now, you know. And you can probably tell them, that you probably struggle with raising a teenager in this day and age, because all of the things that's going on wasn't going on in your day. So that's another way too that you can share communication with your teenager about mental health. The other way you can share communication about mental health is by like taking them maybe to a movie, to a play, and maybe just asking them, what do you think you want to do, in life? What do you think you want to become? What do you think that what are you really passionate about? And then just see if they even have any idea of what they're passionate about, because a lot of teenagers do. A lot of teenagers, they know what they want to do. And, some people find out early, and some people find out when they're a teenager. Some people don't find out till they're in their 20s or 30s. Some people 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, believe it or not. And I know that's a long time, but some people don't know, what their calling is, or what they were put here on earth for. They really don't have any idea. And sometimes people go to, oh, excuse me, that's my dog. And sometimes people go to college for 4 years and they get out and they don't even work in what they studied. They go in a totally different direction. And And, it's really important to communicate with your children. And another thing, too, is let them be who they want to be. Let them be who God intended for them to be. Because, maybe you went to college, and now just because you went to college, you want your child to go to college. There's nothing wrong with that. But, just so you know, everybody isn't college material. And we don't want to put that type of pressure on our children. And if they're not college material, that's fine. Don't put pressure on teenagers to do what you did, or to do, you know, what you think that they should be doing. And there's a way to do that, but just don't put pressure on them, because we're individual people. We have our own gifts. When God made us, we have our own gifts, we have our own talents, we have our own calling. And that child, might not be able to stand up to your standards, because, that can put a lot of anxiety and a lot of pressure on children. And what we want to do is we want to eliminate that, because that can cause mental health problems. Pressure, that can cause mental health problems. Okay, so there's a lot of things, though, that you can do, and different ways that you can try to communicate with your children. And like what I mentioned, by taking them to a play or out to a movie, and then you can just have that private time with your child. And sometimes children will open up, when you ask them, well, what did you think about that movie? What are some of the things that stood out in that movie? Or what are some of the things that stood out in that play? And you'll be surprised, at sometimes when they answer that question, you'll be really surprised. And then you can kind of take the communication from there. So that's another way that you can open up the lines of communication about mental health. Okay. And the other thing, too, is to just maybe sit down with your teenager and just let them know right off the bat, these are all the mental health challenges or problems that some people are dealing with. Have you felt this way? Are you dealing with any of these issues? And if you're not, if you ever feel like you are, don't hesitate to talk to me. You can talk to me about anything and everything. And teenagers love to hear that. And even though, they might not do it, but as long as you say it, as long as you put it out there, that you can talk to them about anything and everything. So at least now they'll know. They'll know. And even if they do want to hold it in, at least you told them. Okay. So there's other ways too that we can help our children to understand mental illness. There's so many mental illnesses out there, and we really need to just one by one go through all of them with them and make sure that they understand it. You can even give them a little quiz or something. I want you to understand this, and tell them the reason why you want them to understand it. You want them to understand all of these different mental illnesses, so you can recognize them in other people. You can recognize them in family members. You can recognize them in friends, in co-workers, even in yourself when you're not feeling good. You will know, why you're not feeling good. You can be able to recognize the signs of depression. So it's really important. I can't stress it enough how important it is to educate our children today about mental health challenges and mental health struggles, because it's all over. It's all over. And when we watch the news. It's all over the news, you know. And when we watch anything on TV, it's there, you know. So it's important for our children, our teenagers, to recognize mental illness. But I just wanted to give the parents some tips of things that they can do. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you on my next video. And if you like my videos, you can like and subscribe. Okay, I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.